Hi. You know what Friday means, don't you? I would hope you would know by now. So here's what Friday means.
Come on, man. Go for it, dude.
It's Friday! Friday! Friday!
Indeed, it is. It is Freestyle Friday here on SDH AM. John here, you there. We might have it. Literally, we might have to kind of hang on to the lamppost this morning. The siren song is out. We don't know who's going to be here. We have an idea who's going to be here. Let's all be pleasantly surprised together. So we'll find out about Club World Cup. The round of 16 is set. We do have a request for you coming up in opening kickoff. We'll just kind of let it be opening kickoff. Guests might be parachuting in who had a lot to do during Club World Cup in the group stage. And we'll talk about it and kind of turn that into a quick go-round. We'll see if our friends from Beyond Goals Mentoring are not touring the planet and doing soccer for good at 9:30. At 10 o'clock, we'll start to get into the weekend that will be in Major League Soccer. And we may have another guest drop by there to discuss everything going on currently on the planet with All-Star, Atlanta United, so on and so forth. And then 10:30, obviously, weekend whip around, patent pending, trademark coming soon, or hopefully rather than later. So this could be truly a show of chaos, not just an hour of chaos, but a show of chaos with all the guests and information that hopefully we can give you over the next couple of hours. Morning four card. So four card is first one in the barn this morning. So it is the boss's birthday. And we decided this morning, and I have three stages. No, this is not opening kickoff. There are three stages of gifts for the boss. And I have to go out and get stage 3. Stage 1 is already in the house. She doesn't know where it is. It's hidden because we have a party later, and we will give it to her then. Stage 2, which is 2A and 2B, is in the house. That will be given to her at the party as well. And so stage 1, stage 2, they are in our possession. Stage 3 is not. It is more of a symbolic gift of the group, and we're going to go grab that later today, early this afternoon, and that will be presented to her before the party for symbolic reasons. And so, well, yes, four-card true, and four-card does, in fact, remind us that, yes, every show is chaos. This one might be more guest chaos and guest allotments than anything else when it comes to the information that we try to get you set for the weekend for. That with all of the tournaments going on, we knew this was going to be the spring of soccer and the summer of soccer, but this one, if everything works out, this one could be a true show of chaos and not just, with guests, not just informational chaos. But the boss's third gift is more symbolic. We have a big party tonight, and so that will be what's going on. It is a 0 birthday for the boss. I'm not quite to 0 birthdays. I'm late in my decade of particular numbers, but I still have another couple of years before I get to my next 0. The boss is hitting her 30, by the way, and we're having a party tonight. So stages 1, gift stage 1 and gift stage 2, they're already in the house. Morning, Alex. And so we're getting ready for that. I'm trying to figure out how to best conceal and not tell her where they are. One is electronic, and so that one's pretty easy. The other one she's going to have to try and find, and she's not allowed to go in certain places of Office HD, so she can't locate it unless she sits there and dives in and tries to find it. So boss's birthday is tonight. If you are a follower of her or share conversations with her on social media, please reach out and wish her a happy cumpleaños today. So that's probably the biggest story of the day, is that it's the boss's birthday. And we'll let you know on Monday what's going on and how tonight went with the boss, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Opening kickoff brought to us by our friends, Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. That's your QR code right there. For those of you that want to start your day with coffee, you Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Once again, you hit that QR code. That gets you into Kickoff Coffee. Don't forget to use the code Soccer Down Here 15. You get 15% off your purchases. They, in turn, take 10% reinvested into youth games, youth initiatives, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. Okay, public service announcements. Remember, we've got a couple of matches coming up this weekend at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and they're pretty cool. You've got Sunday, Tuesday, Messi and Friends in PSG, and then you have Monterrey and Dortmund. So, fancy graphics time. Get this right there. PSG and Messi and Friends. Noon kick 2 days from now. So 51 hours-ish from now. 50 hours and 50 minutes. You can go and see PSG and Messi and Friends noon at Mercedes-Benz. Once again, round of 16. I will be intrigued to see what the lineup looks like for PSG. We kind of know it's going to be all the heavy hitters for Messi and Friends. So once again, if you're not in the building yet, go to FIFA.com/tickets and you can get tickets to this particular matchup, PSG and Messi and Friends. Then 2 days later, you got this one. Dortmund and Monterrey. I know I uploaded the wrong video speed, by the way, video size. So Dortmund and Monterrey, 9 o'clock. It's the late game on Tuesday. So the early game on Sunday and the late game on Tuesday in the round of 16. Once again, Dortmund, Monterrey, FIFA.com/tickets. You can go and hang out with a lot of your friends. So Dortmund, Monterrey, Tuesday, 9 o'clock. Get your tickets, FIFA.com/tickets. And you can also, once again, go Sunday noon. So really, you go early to tailgate or you go late to tailgate after the match, or both. Breakfast, brunch, dinner, tailgating, Messi and Friends. It's the Messi Bowl. PSG and Messi and Friends, noon Sunday at the Benz. FIFA.com/tickets for all the things that are there. So very, very cool stuff. And once again, thanks to our friends at FIFA for the shiny graphics to help out with that. So we'll get into the round of 16. We'll get into the survivors, all those kinds of things. And we'll get into that. We'll get into Major League Soccer, all the things. U.S. women's national team put 4 on the board last night in a friendly. Rose Lavelle put herself in rare air with her performance, so we'll discuss that as well. So very, very cool stuff around the board. Michael, I need a favor. Email me because I have a question for you. So email me, and because I got a question. And so, and after the show, kind of be near your email. So that public service announcement to Michael, be near your email. Send me an email and be near your email after the show because I have a question for you. Yes. And once again, morning, David, morning, Michael, and morning, Four-Card, and morning, Alex. Yes. So as always, great to see everybody. Okay. Round of 16 is set in Club World Cup. We know who it's going to be. And we did have some cool results last night. Some teams that hadn't gotten wins up until this point end up getting wins up until this point. And you now know how it's going to shake out when it comes to the round of 16. So once again, we know what we're going to be staring at when it comes to. No, I don't. It's like I'm trying to log into one particular thing, and I don't want where they're trying to send me. It's like, look, I'm just trying to tell people what's going on. That's all I want. City and Real finished first. Al Hilal has snuck through. However you want to word it. The group stage in stats: 80,619 PSG and Atleti at the Rose Bowl. Al Ahly, Al Hilal, Pachuca, Messi and Friends, Palmeiras, Real Madrid all played in front of 60,000 plus crowds. 169 seconds, 3 second-half goals with Porto and Al-Akli. William Gomes for the Dragões. Vesam Abu Ali had the Red Eagles lead. Samu got parity in the 4-4 draw. So that was crazy. 80. Inter had 80% of possession against Red Diamonds. No real shock. Manchester City had 74% against Juve in that thumper. Bayern and City had the best average possession over their 3 matches, 71%. PSG had 70%. 3 teams made it through with less than 50% of the ball. But once again, it's what you do with it. It's not necessarily, how much time you spend on the ball. Fluminense had 49%, Palmeiras at 45%, Botafogo at 38%. So yesterday, Real Madrid 3-0 win over Salzburg in Group H. Al Hilal 2-0 win over Pachuca at Geodas. Jess Charman had the call on that one on DAZN UK. Al Ain at Audi Field over Wydad AC. And Al Ain, good for them that they got a win to wrap up the group stage. Got the chance to see them going up against Manchester City in Group G here at Mercedes-Benz in the group stage. So Al Ain walks away with another $3 million. Manchester City put a thumping on Juve. 5-2 was the final there in that particular matchup. And frankly, it didn't even seem like it was 5-2. You had Doku scoring in the 9th, Kalulu with an own goal in the 26th. Then Coop Miners made it 1-1. So literally 9th minute Doku. Coop Miners in the 11th had it drawn at 1-1. Then Kalulu scores an own goal in the 26th. 2-1 at the break for Manchester City. Haaland scores in the 52nd. Foden scores in the 69th. Nice. Savinho scores in the 75th. It was 5-1. Dusan Vlahovic with an oh, by the way, made it 5-2 in the final as Manchester City works their way to the top of the group. And it was just it seemed very, very easy for them at times, knocking Juve around the Citrus Bowl. Yes, I know that it has a sponsor from somebody other than the Florida Citrus Council. And so good on Manchester City getting the 5-2 win for Group G. And so that's where it was. So winners yesterday, Man City, Al Ain, Al Hilal, and Real Madrid, Group G and Group H. So that sets us up where we are. Once again, tomorrow, noon, do not, if you are in the eastern half of the country, or frankly, if you're anywhere around the planet and you are looking forward to going to this match, do not wear green or black. Wear pastels, wear pink, wear, dress whites, seersucker, don't care. If you're a fan of neither club and you're just going to be a casual, do not wear green or black. Because you will be stereotyped, you'll be typecast, and you might be let's see, how do we phrase? You might have more of an adventure than you would have planned. So if you're going to Philly, you're going to the Link, noon tomorrow, Eastern time, do not wear green or black unless you're a fan of either club. 4 o'clock, Benfica and Chelsea at B of A. That one is, once again, on DAZN, and Benfica Chelsea, once again, that one 4 o'clock. So noon, Palmeiras Botafogo at the Link in Philly. Benfica Chelsea, 4 o'clock at B of A in Charlotte. Sunday, PSG and Messi and Friends. That one, once again, noon kick. 4 o'clock at Hard Rock, Bayern Munich and Flamengo. I'm intrigued. Monday, Inter and Fluminense in Charlotte, 3 o'clock. Manchester City and Al Hilal, 9 o'clock at the Citrus Bowl in Orlando Tuesday. Real Madrid and Juve, 3 o'clock at Hard Rock. 9 o'clock, Dortmund and Monterrey at Mercedes-Benz. Why is it 9 o'clock? That just gets me. It's 2 o'clock in the morning in Germany. You could have made it like 7, and then you would have had it, midnight in Germany, and it would have been Monterrey. I think they're 2 behind, so, 5 o'clock start. Then you get into after those matchups, it is Friday, and then it is Saturday. Friday is at the Citrus Bowl and at the Link. Saturday, the quarterfinal, the last match that is going to be held at Mercedes-Benz is the quarters. You have noon and 4 at Mercedes-Benz and the Meadowlands before your semis, Tuesday and Wednesday at the Meadowlands, and your final at the Meadowlands on July 13th. So that's your rundown of all of the things that is there with those. So let's get into juice boxes for the Club World Cup and let you know where things are in this particular rundown. For we'll do Saturday and Sunday, and early returns on the others. So Saturday, Palmeiras favored at a plus 137 against Botafogo plus 246. No update on making ends meet from Eagle Football Holdings. 90-minute draws a plus 194. Benfica, big underdog against Chelsea. Chelsea's a plus 112. Draws a plus 238, 90-minute draw. Then Benfica to win is a plus 252. PSG and Messi and friends. PSG, obviously a big favorite at a minus 476. Your draws a plus 590. Messi and friends to win this match is a plus 1120. So I don't know if you have some spare juice boxes in the back, then maybe put a juice box or two on Messi and friends. Then Flamengo, big underdog against Bayern. Flamengo a plus 379, 90-minute draws a plus 294, and Bayern is a minus 433. Early returns on the others on June 30 and July 1. Inter favored against Fluminense. Manchester City, big favorite against Al Hilal. Real Madrid favored against Juve. Juve a plus 445, by the way, for a 90-minute. Then Dortmund at a minus 128. Monterrey is a plus 355. So those are your early numbers. But Palmeiras favored on the plus side. Chelsea favored on the plus side, but not as much as Palmeiras on the plus. Big favorite PSG. Big favorite Bayern Munich. That's how it is on the weekends when it comes to the Club World Cup. So that's where that is as we're now in the round of 16. And once again, quick reminders. Once again, really quick reminders. Here you go. There's your reminder for PSG and Messi and friends. Once again, noon Sunday, win or go home, Messi Bowl at the Benz, FIFA.com/tickets for PSG and Messi and friends. And then skip Monday, go to Tuesday, and it's Dortmund and Monterrey, the late game on Tuesday night, 9 o'clock Eastern for Dortmund and Monterrey. FIFA.com/tickets. Go through your locals, go and hang out with friends, and go have a hell of a time. So that's the rundown of everything in Club World Cupness when it comes to the activities that are attached to Mercedes-Benz. It's been fun. I mean, legitimately, we would not have had the stories involving certain teams. And as you look, you see, I wasted no time in getting Auckland City gear. I literally, paid the tariff, all that kind of stuff, paid the taxes, but Auckland City right here. These are the kind of stories that we really like to hear and we really like to tell. So, yes, I have an Auckland City practice pre-match practice top, and I also have the Auckland City scarf right there. So I could not resist that. And then all the way over there, that's your Club World Cup generic. And, right there. And then this is the Manchester City Al Ain matchup right here. So literally I have the two Club World Cup scarves from the matchups themselves and from the teams themselves right here. And then all the way over here is the Club World Cup generic with the Club World Cup logo. So, yes, it's been fun to be able to tell the stories of everybody in the group stage. And it's been fun to see how everything is, laid out for all of the activities when it comes to everything. So, it's been really cool to find out about WEDA, to find out about Al Ain, to find out about Auckland City. And, it's been fun. I'm going back and forth with one of my possible guests. So, just hang on just a second. I have to send a note. All right, so one of the guests is fighting the airport, and then it would be in hour number 2. So we'll see if our guest can make it through the airport and join us in hour number 2. Otherwise, the guest will join us on Monday. Okay. All right. U.S. women's national team. Let's go there. Because, like I said, the other guests that we have planned, traditionally, will be talking about things Major League Soccer, and Major League Soccer. So last night, the women's national team kind of took it, they had a friendly on the board against Ireland. 4 different players, starting 11, 2 debutantes, 6 players that were new. So you had 6 players, 10 or fewer caps, 2 debutantes in the starting 11. Avery Patterson gets her first goal. Women's national team scoring from a short corner. Sam Coffey got the lead to 2-0 just before the half. 8 minutes into the second half, Rose Lavelle scores her 25th goal for the U.S. to make it 3-0. And then Alyssa Thompson gets the scoring capped dribble and a shot and just inside the box to make it 4. From our friends at Soccer America, and it's from our buddy Theodore Lloyd Hughes. One of the most dominant USWNT matches in recent memory. Second half, Ireland appeared fatigued and worn down. Outshot their European visitors 26-1. 68% of possession, 91% of the passes completed. On the night, Claudia Dickey from Seattle Reign in the net didn't have to make a single save. Second half, she did have to make a stop from close range. The shot was ruled offside. And so Claudia Dickey, between the sticks, gets her first moments for the national team. And so she was getting the start last night. Not a whole lot to do for the defense. Avery Patterson, star of the group, scoring the opening goal, linked up the play for the Lavelle goal. Making her debut for the WNT, Lily Real did not look out of place, according to TLH. Strong in the challenge. Won more duels, 6, than any other player. Kept Emily Murphy quiet. Had a few crosses with the left. Did technically get the assist and for the Thompson goal. So Avery Patterson in her 5th cap gets a 7. Sonnet, 109th cap, by the way. And Naomi Guillermo with her 47th. Lily Real gets her 1st cap and gets a 6. Midfield, emphatic return for Rose Lavelle. Missed the last 6 months with the WNT after having ankle surgery back in December. Got the assist for the opening goal. Scored the 3rd. And 73 minutes in the NWSL over the last 3 weeks. Hayes played Lavelle for almost 60. Lavelle, Sam Coffey, Claire Hutton. We'll catch up with Bart on Monday and find out what he thinks about this grouping and what he thought about this group in general. Coffey gets the 2nd goal, and you get on the dribble, getting the work there. Coffey is 7. Claire Hutton in her 4th cap gets a 6. Rose Lavelle, her 111th cap, by the way, gets an 8. Alyssa Thompson, according to Lloyd Hughes, scored one of the best individual goals for the USWNT in the last decade. So we'll have to go back and we'll have to see. Dinking the ball around a defender, surging into space, 50 yards gone, cutting in on the right foot, inside the post. The only criticism was that she should have scored in the first half when she failed to beat Courtney Brosnan in a 1-1. Also picked up an assist for the Coffey goal. Michelle Cooper quieter on the WNT other flank. Few teasing crosses didn't come off. Allie Sentner, a curious night for Allie Sentner, who was deployed in a central role without another center forward to play off of. So you have that to pay attention to. Nothing like people texting during a show. Sorry, I'm trying to. This is birthday texting. So hang on. And this is planning something of a surprise if it gets pulled off. Okay, so let's see. All right, so answering text in the middle of the show. Okay, best moment, cut back face, and then get the assist for the goal. So Cooper and Sentner each get 6s. Alyssa Thompson gets an 8. Substitutions, Olivia Moultrie had 30 minutes. Giselle Thompson came on, got 30. Jordan Bugg made her USWNT debut, replacing Naomi Guillermo with 17 on the clock, became the 3rd debutante of the night. 22nd since Hayes took over in June of 2024. As we know that this is what the shtick is with Emma Hayes. She wants to see not just 1 through 11. She's looking at 12 through 26. So that's what you're staring at with Emma Hayes here, looking at 12 through 26 as you go. Moultrie is 6, Giselle Thompson, Lynn Biendolo, Jordan Bug each with 5s, Yasmin Ryan in her 10th cap, and Emma Sears each with cups of coffee and no ratings. Avery Patterson joins Jenna Neisler as one of the only 2 defenders to score a goal in their first 5 appearances for the WNT in the last decade. Rose Lavelle gets her first goal for the WNT since January 2023 against New Zealand. WNT takes on Ireland again Sunday in Cincinnati at 3 o'clock Eastern time. So that's your WNT update. So now it is time to get our BGM update. We go from the WNT to the BGM and find out what's going on and find out if Rhode Island FC is scoring goals. And this is where we bring in Michael Parkas. So are they scoring goals, Cap?
Negative.
What?
Negative. We got shut out last week 2-0.
What?
No bueno.
I mean, come on now. If you were in that locker room, I mean, what would you be discussing with them? This is outside of Kano. This is not any kind of Kano discussion, but it's like, what would you be talking to those players about? It's like put the biscuit in the basket kind of a thing. I mean, so what kind of conversations do you have when you have an offensive drought like that?
Yeah, I'm just trying to give them confidence. Maybe let them score a little bit in training. Just let them know that, hey, it'll happen type thing. I'm not going to give them any advice because the last thing a striker wants is a defender to tell him how to put the ball in the back of the net.
Yes. Right. True.
So, just try and give them a little pickup like, hey, man, we'll get there. We'll get there. And just try and do our part in the back of, try and keep it 0 because it's easy to say, well, just keep it 0-0. But a lot of pressure on the defense.
Yeah, because then you put the pressure on the defense, and if you end up with no goals scored, then at the end of the day, at least you get out of there with a point. But I mean, right now the Eastern Conference is a street fight. No shock. Right now, if the season ended today, which it is not, Rhode Island would be in the playoffs in the postseason as the 8th seed in the East. But you've got you have 6 teams separated by 6 points, north of the playoff bar, south of the playoff bar. So everybody knows what you were getting into in USL Championship with Rhode Island, and it's a different kind of bullseye considering that the run that reminds me, man, I've got to get the gear from last season. I've got to add that to my stacks. But I mean, everybody knows what Rhode Island is bringing to the table now. So you're kind of working with a bit of a bullseye on your chest at the same time, and everybody's kind of gunning for you the year after you made the run that you did in 24.
Totally. That's what you have to deal with success. Everybody's after you, especially when you knock 3 teams out of the playoffs as a first-year team. Right? Those teams especially have a target on you. So yeah, that's part of playing as the favorite. But like we tell all of our mentees, right, that pressure is a privilege, right? We earned that, and so now you got to deal with it. And step up. So I think we will.
And you mentioned the whole idea of pressure is a privilege, and I mean, if you're not being pressured, and if you're just kind of going out there and you're either being underestimated or overestimated, and there doesn't seem to be any pressure, how do you tell your mentees not to rest on their laurels if the external factors aren't there, where the pressure isn't coming from the outside? How do you tell your mentees to, like, look, you've still got to be 100%. You can't just sit there and don't focus on the outside. Focus on what's going on in here so you can continue to grow and improve. Even if the noise isn't there, there still should be stuff that you have to respond to on a daily basis.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's just not being complacent, right? Complacency is a killer. And so right, being in that situation can be great for confidence. And That's important, right? But understanding that there's always a next level, there's always a higher goal, there's always something better that we can become at, a tougher environment and tougher opponents and bigger goals. So yeah, it's constantly just challenging yourself and understanding, hey, I'm not there yet. I'm not a finished product, and that's difficult. But yeah, that's what the best players are constantly doing. They're constantly challenging themselves, and they're constantly trying to prove someone or people in general wrong.
How hard is it to challenge yourself when you don't feel like either you're being challenged, or you're not being challenged yourself, or that there's something wrong where the challenges aren't challenging? Does that make any sense?
Hmm.
When you don't feel like the level of the challenge is there, how do you maintain your own quest and try to become better if the external stuff you don't think is matching your own levels?
Yeah, we talk to younger players a lot about how there's always going to be players, teams, maybe even coaches that you come across, and you either can be infectious on them or they can be infectious on you. And so players that aren't taking practice seriously and kind of goofing around, and they can have an effect on players that initially had good intentions for that day, or the opposite can happen, right? Of course. And so we talk to them a lot about, hey, making sure that you are having the infectious behavior and not being the one affected. And that's difficult. So yeah, constantly just trying to improve your own play. And I get when the challenge isn't quite what you want it to be, you need to create those internal challenges and have those goals set for yourself, to keep pushing or to work on your leadership skills or something a little bit out of your comfort zone. And then obviously, at some point, you're going to need to get into a different environment.
If a game is a blowout, and it's a team that you're completely and totally overblowing, you're overmatched, they're overmatched, you're taking care of business. How difficult is it in those challenges to? I don't want to sit here and say, take mercy on the other guy and make it look like you're being, a honk. When a situation, there's a comfortable win in a blowout, and then there's something that can get completely and totally out of control where you could be demoralizing the other guy. Where is that balance of working on yourself in a game that's a blowout, that that you're blowing the other guy out, to where you're still working on your own game, but at the same time, you don't look like the rest of the world doesn't think you're a jackass because it's like a 7-2 thing, and it's like, I'm working on me and I'm doing my best, and this is what's happening. To try not to take blame in a situation.
Yeah, I think there's a difference between really stepping on the gas and um, trying to embarrass an opponent versus, hey, you're playing the game the right way. And I think that's the biggest thing in the in a blowout, is to still have the respect for the opponent. I see it all the time on baseball fields when it gets to be a blowout and kids start chirping and just goofing around in the outfield or goofing around on the infield, and just that is disrespecting the opponent, disrespecting the game. So, and the same thing can happen in soccer. So that's the biggest thing for me, because there will be a day when you're on the other side of a butt kicking,
Yeah.
and you'll see how it feels. And when the other team maybe unnecessarily scoring goals, but they're still doing the things that made them successful, as far as being organized and communicating and passing the ball well. You can do a lot of things and still not run up the score. Um, that's part of it.
You mentioned respect and chirping and disrespect and those kinds of things. I know that we have generational disconnects, and I'm 702 years old, and I probably look at things a little differently than a lot of folks. But how much respect do you see out there with your mentees, and respect and understanding of what they need to work on, and how much correcting has to be done with those of the ages of your mentees, where they have to be steered back and not be disrespectful and chirping, and because I know chirping can have its positivity at points, but how do you sit there and steer them away from the negative aspects of chirping and showing disrespect? Is it something that you have to work on at all and address?
Here and there, but it's rare for us, and maybe that's just the players that are coming to us, but we've found it pretty rare. There is an occasion where a parent is honest and says, "Hey, my kid's got this going on, and I can't get through to him, and need some help in that regard." So there has been the instance where we're trying to let them know how to have respect on the field and why it's important to have that respect. And um, but it's not too often. So I will say that in general, most of the kids have pretty good respect out there.
Yeah, well, and so what is it like for you and for Greg and your other mentors that I imagine are still closer and closer to signing their contracts? Are you going to have the picture, by the way, when your new mentor signs, and you're going to have the whole are you going to have like the contract and the BGM background and the looked up and the smile and I look like I'm signing the contract and I'm smiling at the camera. Are you going to have that signing, by the way, when you have your new mentor?
No, we've talked about this. We actually talked about this with her last week because we don't. And she's a little bit naive because she's a younger pro.
Uh-huh.
As far as I don't want to put her in a place where I've seen people do a lot of things off the field as a professional athlete. And when things are going well, that's great.
Yeah.
And when things aren't going well, all of a sudden, coaches, GMs, teammates, fans can be like, this person should do less of that and more focusing on soccer, even though there's plenty of time in the day to do these things away from job number one. And so just being respectful of her, I don't want to make this a huge deal because this is very secondary to her career, which is just getting underway. So she's been really busy with national team stuff along with NWSL schedule. So yeah, we haven't really locked down when we can announce yet, but hopefully I think she's with national team stuff this week and maybe back next week. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll be able to get something, but yeah, nothing crazy, to try and keep it low key for her.
Okay. So when you have younger players, trying to be supportive in a team environment, and and we saw this, and the reason I kind of steered this way, we saw this in the matchup with Atlanta United in Columbus. Were you there, by the way?
I was.
Okay. So I don't know if you saw what was going on at the beginning of the second half, where Noah Cobb is trying to be there and be supportive and address the energy of everybody out there on the field. And Noah wasn't part of the 11 that was out there playing at the beginning of the second 45, but he was out there, dapping players up and things like that. When it comes to that kind of behavior, what's it like for you to see someone who isn't, regardless of age and level and experience, to see someone who's not a part of the starting 11 sitting there and trying to raise the energy level up of your teammates in a situation like that? What's it like for you to see a younger player take that mantle and address that issue and sit there and it's like, okay, guys, beginning of the second half, let's rock and roll. What's it like for you to see that kind of activity from a younger player?
Yeah, it's nice. It shows maturity. It shows a level of care, right? So many players are just in it for themselves. So it's easy when you're on the bench to be like, ooh, well, in a blowout like that, whew, thank God I'm not on the field.
Yeah.
Or obviously the other way is to be upset that you're not on the field and upset at the coach and upset at the other players that I'm not getting my chance, and you kind of stick to yourself. And that's definitely what I see from at least one player on the Atlanta United bench. But yeah, that's just the type of person Noah is. So I'm not surprised. But yeah, that's great. It's great for the team because they needed some energy, and he obviously saw that and was trying to do whatever he could.
Yeah, well, and I mean, and that can be taken one of two ways, and you hope that it's taken in the most positive way possible. Where, and I know that in some circles, and I'm gonna step away from Atlanta United. I'm fairly certain that there are veterans in some situations, regardless of where you're talking. It's like, well, what is he? What is he doing? It's like he's not out here. What is he doing? I'm going to focus on me, and then that negativity, continues to fester in those moments. But I would imagine it would take a true professional to understand where that player is coming from, regardless of level of experience, about trying to make sure that the messaging is best and that the effort is the best heading into that situation where you can improve your lot in that second 45, say.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that a lot of it is timing, a lot of it is personality, right? Who is it that's saying it? Their energy level. Um, you can tell a lot as a player of where this is coming from. Is it genuine? Is it real for the team, the energy wise, or is this selfish somehow? Right. And it's one thing if he's trying to, from the side of the field, get somebody going right after you give up a goal and kind of like pick somebody up or something, like then the guy on the field might be like, F off right now. But if you're coming off of halftime, it's purely just to get the energy going type thing. And I think that players know that Noah, by the way he carries himself, is a genuine person and wants the team to do well. So I think those little things make a difference, right? If it was a player that has a bad attitude generally and is doing it, you kind of shrug it off and be like, dude, go back to the bench. I don't need it right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so and that's why character and holding yourself well is important, because in moments like these, you're viewed differently based off of your character and how things have been portrayed over time.
How many discussions do you have with mentees about their character, whether it's an adjustment or a reinforcement? How many conversations do you have about character specifically with your mentees?
A ton. Because when I asked a college assistant coach, what's the number one red flag when you're watching a player, he said body language. And body language is such a big component of character. And you can have a great character and terrible body language, don't get me wrong. But in general, they go together. And character is such a huge piece. And I think that sometimes younger athletes don't realize how important character and the way you hold yourself and the way you conduct yourself is versus how well you pass a ball, kick a ball, score, and all these other things. Right? Of course, those things are important, but you can do those well and have terrible character, terrible body language, and you will not have the opportunities that you would if those things were different.
How many, and I'll go back to the great character, poor body language thing in a second. How many coaches reach out to you and to Greg to get intel on mentees? How much of a conversation piece is that in that two-way street with you guys?
Yeah, we always, for our mentees, tell them to put us down as references. So there have been some, not a ton, honestly, but we do have small check-ins every now and then, or tell us about this guy, or how's the family, or little things like that. It's never anything to do with soccer.
Yeah.
It's always just off the field stuff, and but that's important.
Okay, so great character, poor body language. How does that look? I mean, is
selfish.
Well, break that down for me. How does that look to the eye, so we know what we're staring at? Because we can all see great character, great body language, but you could have somebody who's great character and poor body language. How does that look?
It looks either selfish or it looks deflated, in my opinion, right? Where you can have, a great character who's got poor body language, right? At Atlanta United right now. Or I'll take Atlanta United 2017.
Okay.
2018.
Yeah.
Miguel, great character in the locker room, great human being, terrible body language out on the field. Right? Constantly getting upset with guys about making mistakes and, not playing the right pass at the right time, and these little things like that. which can drag on guys. And, that was addressed, and he got much, much, much better about it. And now I think his body language is way, way better in general. So that's one example. But you can also have, in these instances, a great character that's just sick and tired of the way things are going.
Yeah.
And that's kind of normal in this regard.
Yeah.
But I did see, like, even Brad's body language on Wednesday was good, right? Even if he's constantly, like, he knows he's got two homegrowns in front of him, right? It's not going to be perfect. Things have not been good. So anytime he had the opportunity to pat a guy on the back, say good job, right? He was doing it, right? Even after he makes a big save, like, hey man, whatever he's saying, but it looks positive. He's trying to bring positive energy instead of just, another one I got to dig out of the back of the net, right? And that's difficult. It's really difficult, especially when times are like they are right now.
I was going to ask, how hard is that to continue to I was about to use the word spin, but that's not right. To lean into the notion of finding a positive, finding encouragement, making sure that those younger players or the inexperienced players that are out there having to perform in a situation so they don't get dragged down into a negative in a situation that's already negative. How hard is that to try and be positive, find a positive, and be encouraging in a situation like that?
Yeah, it's difficult, but I mean, that's where it's important to have some veteran guys on the field as well, because these homegrowns, it's not their fault that Atlanta United is not doing well right now, right? It's not expected that these guys are going to lead the team and these players are going to be the ones that are going to turn things around or whatnot, right? They're taking the brunt of it, especially being on the back line. Were they mistake free? Of course not. Do you expect them to be mistake free? No. And anyone can go to Columbus and get embarrassed. That's a pretty easy place to go and get embarrassed. And so, I think Brad understood that and knew that, okay, it's not on these guys. Right? It starts a little higher up the field. Maybe it starts with the approach from the team and the energy and things. There's a lot going on there. So, that's why it's important to have, some veteran guys that can pick these young guys up and let them know, hey, keep going, man, keep going. This is a learning experience. It's not on you. Learn from it, and try and find those small little positives.
At MF Parkhurst on the 280 character app, at BG Mentoring on the 280 character app, beyondgoalsmentoring.com, and the Friday Free Kick with our buddy Michael Parkhurst. How frustrating was it for you to go to lower.com and see what you saw out of Atlanta United in the midweek?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I was thinking about it.
Were you mumbling words, that you shouldn't be saying publicly under your breath at points?
No, it's just no, because it wasn't all that unexpected, to be honest. Okay. Right? I think that the way things have gone, and shoot, I see Columbus play pretty often. They're a very good team, and but that being said,
yeah,
that was every bit of a 3-0 scoreline at halftime, right? It could have been 5.
Yeah.
It really could have been. And, maybe Atlanta had a chance. So, yeah, it was tough to watch. Yeah, and I know that they're trying to fix things and trying to have the right attitudes. And I was at the hotel and got to catch up with a few guys, and energy seemed pretty good and all those things. So it's tough. It's tough to see, it's tough to watch, and that's never good. I mean, the response in the second half was good. They could have easily made it 3-2 to get back in it. So that was good to see.
How hard is it to be patient with what you see the younger guys out there, they're learning and all this kind of stuff. And I know that expectations are one thing, and especially coming into the season, expectations being what they were. But, when you kind of see things, you see younger guys as an alum, how hard is it to be patient? And it's like, okay, let's turn this around. Does that make any sense? How hard is it to see what you see, be patient with the young guys, and hope that things turn around? How hard is that?
It's easy to be patient with the young guys. It's the older guys. It's some of the other players that you have less patience for because like to be honest, the fans have had patience for the last 5 years. So it's running out, and there's been moments for sure in between there, but not enough.
Yeah.
And I think that the club realized that, and that's why they spent a ton of money in the offseason. And when that doesn't turn to results, obviously people get frustrated and guys start pressing and everything. So yeah, it's not good. It's easy to have patience with the homegrowns on the field because it's based off expectations. And to be fair, I think a lot of the homegrowns are a lot of our best players in some of the games, right? Will's energy seemed to really turn things around
Yeah.
in the second half. So, he was a bright spot. And it seems like that happens a lot, these games where it's like you come out of it and say, oh, this homegrown or that homegrown was our best player, or the energy. And that's not good. Not good when you've got guys that you've paid 10 plus million for out on the field. And to be fair, I thought Miguel was very good against Columbus.
Yeah.
One of his better games. And, obviously Latte is really struggling right now. I thought he was terrible, to be honest, and should have had a couple goals or at least more opportunities and things. So, yeah, it's the patience is tough in general for the team, but not for the homegrowns.
And you mentioned pressing, and I think that and this is just me who has covered sports and not played it professionally, but I would imagine that pressing is a delicate dance where you're pressing and you don't want to turn it into something where you're pressing too much and too much and too much. You want to press to improve, but in the desire to improve, sometimes you press too much and you go past that point of improving, and it goes the other way. It almost seems like it's not a straight line; it's a curve almost.
Totally. And the easy example of that is like a striker when they get a big opportunity and they should pass the ball for an easy assist, but because they haven't scored in a while, they try and shoot, and it's not the right option and things like that. So it just clouds your judgment a little bit, where it's all you can think about is scoring the goal versus, hey, have a good performance, and the goals will come. But for every player, it's a little bit different of how they want to get out of it. Some guys need to get away from the game just a little bit. Some guys need to really work extra out on the field, right? It's just a comfort thing. So it's different for each player. And yeah, I think Latte for sure needs to figure it out for himself.
How much did you press at times when you were trying to help correct a situation in any of your professional outings? Did you press a lot? Did you press any?
Yeah, there were times I pressed where it was like, okay, hey, I really need to be better. I really need to be more reliable today. I can't have turnovers. Building out of the back. Specifically thinking back to Columbus, my last year of, my center back partner was always changing, and the season wasn't going that well. And it's like in those moments, you want to be someone that team can rely on, and okay, I got to be good today. And sometimes when you press that much, you get a little bit more nervous, and things just don't seem to go your way when you're pressing. We've talked about it before, when things aren't going your way and you give up penalty kicks, or they're not called for you, or the ball bounces off the post and goes in instead of goes out. And it's the same thing individually when you're pressing and you're putting too much on every little moment. Those moments don't go your way as often.
And, I would imagine it is probably one of the biggest things to tackle as a professional athlete is correction, whether, not necessarily from yourself, but a team correction and being in your part of it to try and be a part of a larger picture and not be saddled or not put too much of the pressure on yourself to be a part of that correction to where, okay, we can all do this together instead of being an individual, yeah, I can fix this, and then it turns into more and more and more of a problem because you put too much of that responsibility on yourself trying to fix something.
For sure. 100%. Yeah. And it's the pressing is tough and it's difficult and there's no easy answer. And that'll always be the challenge for players, right? And that's honestly what separates the great players from the good players is their ability to get out of those situations quicker and to bounce back quick and to not get into the position where you need to press or understanding for themselves, okay, I am pressing. How do I get out of this and get back to a good flow state?
Okay. All right. So what is your flow state currently with Beyond Goals as we prepare for that day where we get the sign? I want the signing picture where looking up and signing, and I'm nowhere close to the signature line. But what's the latest with you?
Other than mentoring, just working on the college programming so that we can help guide players that want to play in college at each stage of high school. So it's a big thing that I got going on right now.
Okay. All right. It's that time where we welcome someone else into the stacks, and we'll see what's going on. So let me bring in the new camera here. Three-way dance. Do you recognize this gentleman?
What is going on here?
What up, Dax?
Look, you steal my thunder? What's going on?
I'm
stealing your thunder.
Well, Dax, traditionally 9:30 on Friday mornings when they're not conquering the planet, we usually have Greg Garza and Michael Parkhurst on to talk about mentoring and what's going on in their world in Rhode Island FC and lack of offense and things like that. And so basically, I was filibustering until hopefully you would come in at 10 o'clock. So Michael Parkhurst could ask you a question.
Oh God.
About what's going on in the world of Dax McCarty, because he's done this with I want to say he's done it with Ozzie Alonso already this season, coming into this 10 o'clock slot. So Michael Parkhurst, co-host here on the Freestyle Friday. Your question for Dax McCarty.
Dax and I were on an event the other night.
We were. I was together. I just saw Parky.
I'll ask you the same question I asked Brad.
Okay.
Toughest part of the new gig.
Oh God! Easily the biggest challenge is the preparation for sure. It's funny because when you play in MLS for as long as I did or as long as Parky did, there's maybe this preconceived notion that your knowledge of the league and what you already know about it, it's just going to be like riding a bike. You just step off the field and it's like the conversations that we had, Parky, like in the meal room at breakfast or at lunch, where we're just talking shop, right? We're talking about the opponent and tactics. That's so easy just to do it with your teammates because you're unfiltered. You give your strongest opinions and you exchange ideas and it's so easy. So you think, I'll just do that same thing on TV. And it's like, no, it does not work like that at all. You want to still give your strong opinions. You want to be as unfiltered as you can be, but you also have to prep, and you have to prep significantly more than I think what my initial anticipation was, because talking with no pressure, with face-to-face with someone who you're close with is a lot easier than just going on TV cold and being like, all right, here's why Columbus is so good. Here's why the New York Red Bulls are so good. You actually need to be able to back that up with the eyeballs and then also with some data that you intertwine in there. So the preparation is definitely something that threw me for a loop.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Michael, as always, thanks again for dropping in and fixing the world's problems as you and Greg do at 9:30 on Friday mornings. Be well, my friend, and we will catch up with you next time. And thank you for taking the co-host duties as you always do, and we bring in the new guys when it comes.
Always a pleasure, and happy belated birthday, John. By the way.
Oh, thank you. Yes, 702. By the way.
You guys have a good weekend.
Marky, you're a legend. I would like to keep seeing you at least once a week. This is a nice moment for me.
This is nice.
Hey, so then don't be strangers. All right. So Parky's gonna be good and get out of here, and we'll see you soon. All right. Dax, welcome to the chaos that is Friday here on SDH AM.
No problem. Thank you.
So leading into the conversations. All right. So prep. Michael said that he was at the matchup at lower.com to see Atlanta United. I'm going to throw you right into the fire since he already asked my first question.
No problem.
Atlanta United and Columbus. Columbus, put a stomping on the first 45. It was 3-0. It ends up 3-1. When you look at, I guess, Columbus, that's expected that they go and they're going to put their foot on your throat, and that's an expected result. When you look at Atlanta United right now, having been with you when you were here and covered you at SDH and your time here in Atlanta, when you look at Atlanta now as someone with Apple TV, what is sticking in your mind about Atlanta United right now?
They don't have any cohesion. There's some sort of disconnect.
Accessibility shortcuts.
Sorry.
Wow.
There's sorry about that.
No worries.
There's not a ton of cohesion right now with Atlanta United from top to bottom. I see a roster of players who I see talent. I have seen talent at different moments during the season. But there is just a wild, I think, disconnect between the players and between what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are. They don't balance each other out well. And quite frankly, there's just not a ton of cohesion on the field when you look at what's happening. Look at either side of the field. Defensively, they cannot stop leaking goals. They're one of the worst teams in the league at goals conceded. They give up seemingly multiple goals almost every game. Can't even remember the last time they had a clean sheet. And then on the attacking side of the field, their big time players haven't been good enough. And it's okay. It's okay to say that. Like, I think when you sign designated players, there's a lot of factors that go into them settling. But the reality for Atlanta United is that if you're going to spend $40 or $50 million in the transfer market and have this very expensive outlay, then you don't really have the luxury of time to try to get acclimated to each other. It has to almost work in the first couple of months of the season for a proof of concept. So it's not just all down to the designated players. There are other issues that I see in midfield. But for the most part, Emmanuel Latte-Lot, Miguel Almiron, and Alexei Miranchuk have not lived up to the price tag. And when you can't score goals and then you can't defend your net consistently, you're going to end up where Atlanta United is, which is outside the playoffs looking in.
How frustrating, and I'll go ahead and say you're an alum. You spent time in Atlanta. How frustrating for you is that as an alum of Atlanta United?
Well, look at my preseason predictions. I thought that Atlanta United, with a few additions, would be at the top of the East, fighting for a supporter shield. I thought Emmanuel Latte-Lot would be fighting for the Golden Boot. And I think this is just a really good lesson that I think money buys you better players. It always has, but it doesn't necessarily buy you cohesion and success, because there's so much more that goes into it than just, let me just buy a bunch of expensive pieces and see if they fit together on the field. There's a lot more that goes into it. So I've been frustrated for sure, because I actually really love almost everyone that I encountered in Atlanta. It's a really good group of guys in the locker room. I don't know the coaching staff as well. Obviously, I didn't play under Ronnie. I played under Carl Robinson a little bit with Rob Valentino. But I really like all the people that work in the front office, behind the scenes, the kit men, the chefs, the people who sell tickets. Everyone there is really pleasant and really, really wonderful. But that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to put a winning team together on the field. And so I've been just as frustrated as the fan base, because Atlanta United gave me the opportunity to end my career on my terms. And I had some wonderful memories in Atlanta. So I as an analyst, you have to take a step back. You can't be biased. Yeah. You have to try to be objective in how you're looking at things and analyzing things. And if I have to put my analyst hat on and analyze what's happening this year, it's just not good enough, and it's unacceptable. And the players will know that. The front office will know that. The coaching staff will know that. I appreciate the candor with which Ronnie Dylas speaks. He doesn't sugarcoat what's happening right now. So it's frustrating. It's never over, right, with regards to making the playoffs at this point. But I would say it would take a little bit less than a miracle for Atlanta United to make the playoffs at this point.
Apple TV's Dax McCarty hanging out with us here in the Hour of Chaos, as we call it here on Fridays, the last hour of the week. So then you have this time on the road where Atlanta United is away from home, and you have other tournaments being played at Mercedes-Benz, and so you get the opportunity to try to sort things out away from Atlanta United and the 17s, but you're also a month away from the summer transfer window. If things do not fix themselves in whatever terminology you want to use in air quotes, and that's $1 in the jar for me, How, hey, cliches are dollars in the jar, and at the end of the year, the boss is like, "Oh, look at the jar."
Love it.
How active, and I'll use that word, how active would you anticipate the summer transfer window for teams south of the playoff bar right now, Atlanta United included?
Yeah, I would think that it's got you have to be active if you're not in the playoff picture at this point in time. But there is context and nuance into why you should be active. If you're a team like Toronto FC, then how active should you really be? The season's over for Toronto FC. So and CF Montreal, right? Like these types of teams who, quite frankly, they don't have a chance to make the playoffs. Do you wait until the winter where you can turn over the roster a little bit faster, you can get players in and get them a full preseason? Or are you a team like the Chicago Fire who are on the outside looking into the playoffs, but they have a good enough team to not only make the playoffs, but make a run? And so there's nuances to the different teams, but I'll keep it Atlanta United focused. Sure. Atlanta United has to be active. They have to do something, because what's happening right now, what the supporters are seeing, what we are seeing as fans, it's just not acceptable. They're not even competitive in games. If you look at their last three results, 2-0 to the New York Red Bulls, 4-0 to NYCFC, and 3-1 to the Columbus Crew. I mean, even that scoreline against Columbus flatters Atlanta. They were miles off of it. They didn't even look competitive. So you need to be active if you're Atlanta United. I actually don't know how much flexibility they have to make moves to bring players in. I would think that in order to do that, you would have to move some players out, and some players that are, quite frankly, probably pretty high priced players, and so you need to make moves out of the team first before you can bring people in. And I don't know. I think where Atlanta United should focus mainly is in midfield and on the back line. You're not going to be able to get rid of Miguel Almiron or Emmanuel Latte-Lat or Alexei Moranchuk. Maybe Moranchuk would have some transfer value somewhere in Europe, maybe somewhere in Russia, right? If you got an offer. But Alexei Moranchuk, to me, he hasn't been as bad as people sometimes talk about him. But again, him and Miguel Almiron, it doesn't seem like they can coexist together in a functional way. So it depends. And then with midfield, you need to bring in a defensive midfielder. That's been such a problem for Atlanta United this season, not having that spine of the team. It's been a rotating cast at center back. What do you do at center back? You have some young players in Efrain Morales and Noah Cobb, who I think have a lot of potential, but it's clear that the coaching staff doesn't trust them at this point in time. So you have Derek Williams and Stian Gregerson, who have had trouble staying healthy. I think you need to bring in a defensive midfielder and a center back in this transfer window in the summer. And then you reassess and reevaluate what you're going to do for 2026 in the offseason.
You mentioned Chicago. I just like saying the word Zinkernagel myself. It's a lot of Scrabble points that are attached there. Let's get into, since you mentioned other teams in the Eastern Conference, I guess we can go into senior superlatives here as we head into the All-Star break. All-Star team gets announced. Snubs. We know that there were locks, and we know that there were locks that attached to the MLS All-Star roster. First off, do you dig the All-Star game being the way that it is, or would you rather play MLS players playing MLS players and showcase the league in and of itself instead of going up against Liga MX or Juve's D squad or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, I think an All-Star game is a very American thing, and it's hard for other people that aren't from the US that to understand why we do it. I love the All-Star game. The format with the All-Star game when I was a player was you played these big-time teams, right, who were in their preseason preparations. And look, we played against Real Madrid in 2017, and I was lucky enough to be a part of that. That was incredible. It was an incredible experience. And even if, some of the biggest players they had at the time, I don't think Cristiano didn't play, but, they had all of the stars, right, that were there. I mean, Gareth Bale was there at the time, Marcelo, Sergio Ramos. I mean, these guys all played. And even though it's preparation for them in preseason, you still want to win. You're at Soldier Field in front of 70,000 people. And it's a fun game, right? It's almost like a training exercise, but people go to All-Star games to be entertained. So the Liga MX format has been nice. I think that it's been competitive. I think that fans have enjoyed it. But I think you lose a little bit of the all-star feel when it becomes a really competitive game, right? You want fans to be entertained. You want players to enjoy themselves and show out. I mean, players go to the all-star game. They don't want to get injured. So I would personally love to see an East versus West like throwback to what we had in the early days. I think it would be great. I think it would be, especially with 30 teams in MLS now. You have so many players who are deserving. I mean, you could go the 26 All-Stars, I think all deserving. Sure. You could have another All-Star team of 26 players who would all be deserving as well. So it's difficult for players that have missed out. I mean, there are so many snubs I can think of off the top of my head. Hani Mukhtar, Sam Surridge from Nashville. They've been fantastic. Pep Biel from Charlotte. Martino Hayda from Orlando City has been wonderful, right? Andrew Gutman, Dan Lovitz, Kai Wagner. I mean, I'm just naming fullbacks here who have all been deserving to get recognition in an all-star game. So I definitely see the novelty and the functionality of doing it Liga MX versus MLS. I think there's a lot of synergy right now between those two leagues when you look at Leagues Cup. But yeah, the All-Star game is always going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. It should still be really fun this year.
And, as we sit here and look at senior superlatives to this point of the season, who has been your biggest surprise team-wise that is north of the playoff bar currently, since we've talked about Atlanta United and below the playoff bar? Biggest surprise north of the playoff bar for you this year? Is there one?
Yeah, that's not even close. It's San Diego. My expectations for San Diego going into the season were low. I had them, I think my preseason, which, by the way, preseason predictions suck. No one can get them right. So I just didn't give them a ton of credit because of the fact that I was skeptical about their backline. I was skeptical about their goalkeeping situation. And quite frankly, I didn't think that they had a striker to be able to thrive in that attack with Dreyer and Lozano as wingers. They have blown the doors off of every expectation that I think anyone could have of them right now. I think they're sitting first in the West at this point in time, which is nothing short of insane. And the way that they have played, they're completely breaking the model for how an expansion team can come into MLS. They play beautiful soccer, they play entertaining soccer, and they play effective soccer, and it gets results. So I think if you put together a formula of like what is the perfect expansion team, expansion season, San Diego's living that right now. And so I know there have been other expansion teams that have been great. Chicago Fire back in the late 90s, obviously winning. I believe they won the double. I know they won MLS Cup. But LAFC, right, Seattle, even Atlanta United, when they first came into the league, I mean, really took the league by storm. The way that San Diego's doing it, has been so impressive. Anders Dreyer right now is the MVP in Major League Soccer if the season ended today. That's not a hot take. That's just a fact. But I've been so impressed with Mikey Veras and everything that San Diego's done.
No doubt about it. And I'm right there with you. I was looking at San Diego FC and I was sitting there going, I don't know. Yeah. And they have absolutely just sat there and they wagged the people's index finger at me. And they're like, not so fast, my friend.
Oh, yeah.
Before you get out of here, and first off, thank you for doing this. And now that you have the garage door opener and know where the key is under the mat, you know that you can crash here on Fridays at any time and sit there and shoot, at 9:30, if there's ever a Greg Garza or a Michael Parker sighting and you sit there and you go, oh, I want to crash on that segment. You can.
Awesome.
What is your best, and Kevin Egan is one of our A-listers as well. What is your best Kevin Egan story to this point of the season about life at MLS 360?
Oh, Kevin Egan's the best. I genuinely, before I say any story, I genuinely feel like I could not have gotten more lucky being able to walk into MLS 360 with the crew that we have. Me knowing Bradley Wright Phillips and Sasha Kleshchen well already. I know Kaylin Kyle as well. I knew her before this. But Kevin Egan is probably the person I didn't know the best out of everyone. And he's been probably my greatest asset in terms of helping me acclimate to a new life. We lived in Atlanta together for those 6 months where I stayed in Atlanta until May, and we were on every flight together up to the studio. And just being able to have him as a sounding board and to pick his brain on things that I was curious about, things that I needed help with. He's one of the most selfless individuals that I've ever met. And he just wants everyone to thrive. And so he's an amazing person, and he's very good at his job. One of the best hosts I've ever seen. Best Kevin Egan story up to this point. It's not just one single thing that he does. It's just an accumulation of things. He absolutely loves food, and so he's a big foodie. And so he'll whenever we get to the studio, he's always on the hunt for a new restaurant or somewhere to grab a bite to eat. And he's just a great guy. Like there's really no one single particular story that stands out, but it's his preparation. I'll tell everyone, like, for how we prep, right? We prep through the week. And as a host, your prep is a little bit different. But every single day on Saturdays in the hotel before the show, Kevin Egan goes down to the lobby. He grabs a coffee and he grabs like an overnight oats or a bagel or something from the hotel. And he sits in the little cafe area for 6-7 hours before MLS 360. And he's just banging out prep, notes. He's got a notebook. It's very organized. You'll see it next time you watch MLS 360. Look at the desk. Look at the big notebook he has. And that's why I take my preparation so seriously, is because I've seen him do it, and because I see how big of a pro he is. And he's just consistent. He's just a consistent individual who just wants our show to be the best it possibly can be. And without him, he's the team dad. I'll tell you guys that. He's the team dad, and just a great dude altogether, man. So really, really grateful for everyone on our crew, but especially Kev.
If my math is correct, and I really suck at math, there will be a moment this Saturday where you will have a 10 box.
Amazing.
It will be early second half because you have 6 740 kicks and 4 840 kicks.
10 box. I don't know if we've ever had that before.
So you'll start with a 6-pack. And you'll go from a 6-pack early second half to a 10 box. And I don't know what to call a 10 box. So, I mean, literally you could be getting critical mass in Kevin Egan's brain with a 10 box and going, we got to go. One of those. I am now officially intrigued about the 10 box and what this is going to look like here coming up this Saturday. Dax, as always, great to see you. Great to have you come and crash the party. Good luck with your 10 box, sir. I wish you nothing but the best success when it comes to the 10 box and everything going on. It's great to see you charging and taking care of everything up there at MLS 360. Do not be a stranger once again. Like I said, you got the garage door opener. You know you can crash at any time. Sure. So just have a hell of a show, and we'll catch up with you soon, my friend. Thanks for visiting, and don't make this the first time.
All right, John. Thank you guys for having me. Cheers.
All right, there goes Dax McCarty, everybody. So Dax and a 10 box. A 10 box, people. 10. I feel like Ty Dillinger all of a sudden. 10, 10, 10. It's a 10 box. So very, very cool. It's great to have Dax added to the stacks. And once again, Kirk Reynolds at MLS Soccer gets all the bonus points here. Because every Tuesday, I bang on his door. And I'm like, dude. Friday at 10 is the time slot where in a perfect world, we get to catch up with everybody from Apple TV and MLS 360 and all points in between, so we can get acclimated to everything going on in the league as we get ready for the weekend. That was Dax's first time here on the show. And so it's always great to have first-timers popping in. And the fact that we have the crossover from Michael Parkhurst to Dax McCarty at the beginning of the hour, that's always fun as well. But no, as always, thanks to our friends at MLS Soccer, and thanks to our friends at Apple TV for letting us kind of pick the brain of everybody. And so having that early conversation with Dax McCarty about Atlanta United and about what he thinks about what's going on with Atlanta United and the issues and what he would do and what to look out for coming up in the next month or so. We'll keep an eye on all of that. We could have gone a lot longer with Dax, full disclosure, because we barely scratched the surface. But to find out what it's like for him to be there on TV and what it's like for him to dance around with Sasha and Kaylin and BWP and Kevin Egan, that was why I wanted to end with the Kevin Egan question. So as always, great to catch up with our friends at Apple TV and studio analyst Dax McCarty. what's going on there at MLS 360. Okay, juice boxes. So we mentioned the 10 box, and it is going to be a full weekend with 12 matchups, 3, 6, 9, 12, 14. So 3, 6. Yeah, so it's 2 at 10. Okay, so it is 6 at 7:40, 8 more at 8:40, and then 2 at 10:40, and then 2 on Sunday, 1 at 6 o'clock and 1 at 9:30. So 9:30, 9:40. So interesting there. So Columbus Crew, Philadelphia Union at 6 o'clock on Sunday. So 6:10, I would imagine. And so we will see if our friends at Major League Soccer have let us know what's going on with what is going on with our analysts and what it looks like and who is going to be where and who's calling what and all of the things. And so, no, very, very cool. And you can go back and see yesterday the breakdown of Anders Dreyer, San Diego FC, Dax McCarty. You can keep an eye on all of that. And so keep an eye on all of that content at MLS On Air. At MLS On Air is where you can see all of the stuff that is talked about during play during the week, and then they repost some of the greatest hits, as we will be doing as well. So very, very cool. So Milan Iloski, player of the match day, for 4 goals in 12 minutes. 4 goals in 12 minutes. Goalie Wars has been announced for MLS All-Star. Carlos Mercado from OCB, Pedro Cruz from Dynamo Dos, Eldon Jakupovic from Chattanooga FC, and Adisa Di Rosario from TFC2. That is going to be your early rundown of everything for Goalie Wars. And at some point, either today or on Monday, we will catch up with our resident goalie and find out what she thinks about Goalie Wars in and of itself. And by the way, Milan Iloski scored 4 goals in 12 minutes. We've known Milan Iloski from his time at Orange County SC. And now, after spending time overseas in Europe, he's now back. San Diego FC pressed him into service because of absences involving national team. And so 4 goals, 12 minutes, 20th player in league history to score at least 4 goals in a match, the third to do so this season, Brian White and Sam Surge, the others. So you get that from Milan Iloski. And right now, looking at the juice boxes as we have them to get ready for anything and everything going on. Okay, I don't know who that is, but okay. It's like people are sending text, and I have to actually look at the text and go, I don't know about that. So Ruud van Nistelrooy finally leaves Leicester. If talks have been held, he has Van Nistelrooy leaving the relegated Leicester side after 27 matches as manager. So Paul Pogba set for a Monaco medical. Say that 10 times fast, Monaco medical. Ahead of a Ligue 1 move, set to undergo the medical today, ahead of a proposed move to the Ligue 1 club. And that is from David Ornstein at Ali. That's a fancy way of saying and others from everything that is attached to Ligue 1 as we go. We'll go through all the news coming up in just a little bit as we go. Okay, juice boxes. Juice boxes for the 10 box and beyond in Major League Soccer. So we will see if our friends at Pro have announced who the for the crews are for this weekend when it comes to all of the activity. Okay, FIFA Club World Cup assignments. You had Drew Fisher, Michael Barwegan, and Liaz Arfa, who were at the Wydad Al Ain match. Let's see, Jägermeister Cup. We got all of that going on. We've got midweek action. Vancouver and San Diego. Vancouver and San Diego? No, because Vancouver's playing LAFC. Okay, so here's what we have from our friends at Pro, which is not much. And here's what we have also from calling broadcast teams. We don't know them. So that's the early update on that. CF Montreal and NYC, 740. And CF Montreal is a plus 189. Draws a plus 249. NYC is a plus 135. We'll go over the standings as we have them heading into the weekend coming up at the end of this. DC and Nashville. DC is a plus 244. Nashville's a plus 104. 90-minute draws a plus 263. Revs hosting the Rapids. Revs are a minus 105. Draws a plus 269. And the Rapids are about the same at a plus 266 in the composite, courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal. Red Bulls and Minnesota United. Red Bulls at home, traditionally a very tough place to play. A plus 118. Draws a plus 240. Minnesota United a plus 225. Orlando City, the purple team, hosting FC Cincinnati. They're on the minus side at a minus 103. Draws a plus 272. FC Cincinnati is a plus 254. 740, Toronto hosting Portland at a plus 189. Portland on the road. Portland going from one end of the planet to the other. Portland is a plus 136. A plus 136 on the road at Toronto. 90-minute draws a plus 248. That's your six-pack to start at 740. Then at 840, Chicago Fire hosting Charlotte at a minus 105. Draws a plus 296. Charlotte is a plus 238. Dallas and San Diego. San Diego favored at a plus 110 on the road at the half of a Toyota Stadium because it's undergoing a reconstruction and renovation, getting ready for the World Cup next year. Dallas is a plus 204. Your draw is a plus 288. Also at 840, Houston hosting All Caps at a minus 119. All Caps, I think the new coach bump is kind of gone away. So the interim coach bump has disappeared. It's a plus 282. Draws a plus 291. Sporting Kansas City is a plus 119. Favored at home against RSL, who's a plus 204. Carrie Z on the 90-minute draw is a plus 264. San Jose and LAG, Cali Classico, 1040 Saturday night. San Jose is a minus 114. Draws a plus 301, and LAG is a plus 258. Also at 1040, Seattle hosting Austin FC, so it is a battle of the green. Seattle a minus 139. Your draw is a plus 269. Austin FC on the road is a plus 376. Two matches on Sunday, 6 o'clock. Crew hosting Philadelphia. Crew is a minus 122. Draws a plus 276. And Philadelphia to win in 90 minutes is a plus 309. Late match, LAFC hosting Vancouver. LAFC is a minus 127. Draw is a plus 266. Vancouver is a plus 340. And once again, quick reminder, the Atlanta match with our friends at Inter Miami, Messi and Friends, has been postponed until October 11 because of their involvement in the Club World Cup. Once again, we'll get into the Club World Cup numbers. We'll get into Gold Cup numbers. We'll get into all that stuff coming up as we go here. So we have half hour to go, and we'll get into saying hi to everybody and what's going on with all the things that are attached to the visit today. So let me go all the way back to the beginning and say hi to everybody and find out what's on your mind, and we'll discuss that as we go through. Morning Forecard, and morning Alex, and morning Michael. Yes, the boss's birthday is today. So morning David. David with a question. Is the match this weekend the biggest event at the Benz globally? Super Bowl, college football playoff, MLS Cup title, Beyonce, Swifties, got to be up there in the ranks. Okay, so that's the question. That is the QOD. That is the question. Is this the biggest thing going on globally, going on at Mercedes-Benz Stadium with Messi and Friends and PSG? I'd say it's pretty close. So we've had Beyonce, we've had Swifties. I mean, you had the MLS Cup title to match, CFP, Super Bowls. This might be the biggest event at the Benz. I'd say it's pretty damn up there. And then you find out what the next matchup will be in the semifinals on July 5th. You find out what the quarterfinals on July 5th. We'll see what that one looks like. So we'll find out what the quarterfinal is on July when we have the last match in the sequence at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. But right now, PSG and Messi and Friends, that's pretty big. Looking forward to that one on Sunday, by the way. Sunday at noon. And you can get your tickets. And let me go ahead and show that again, because I actually got the graphic to work. So there you go. PSG, Messi and Friends, noon Sunday. FIFA.com/tickets. And then don't forget, Tuesday, late night, it is Dortmund and Monterrey, 9 o'clock, FIFA.com/tickets. So once again, Dortmund, Monterrey on Tuesday. We'll hang on to that one. But once again, PSG, Messi and Friends. Did I mention PSG and Messi and Friends? FIFA.com/tickets. So that's pretty out there to have Messi and Friends and PSG. You can catch it on DAZN, because you can subscribe to DAZN and watch all the matches on DAZN for free during the tournament. But we would encourage that you go down and see PSG and Messi and Friends at noon on Sunday at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. So very, very cool stuff there from our friends at FIFA. So, yeah, I mean, I'd say it's pretty close. I'd say it's pretty up there that it is, in fact, one of the biggest things going on. All right. And so let's see. Morning, Abby. Yeah, for the matchup, for the matchup involving Palmeiras and Botafogo, wear baby blue. Just wear something else. All right. So Abby's got to go to the Benz prior to the match, because I think her volunteering is done. Happy Five Stripe Friday, everybody. Yes, P.S. Good. And Michael's got to be there at 8 o'clock. So do we. We've got to be in there between 8 and 9 to record our pregame content. It is T-4 to T-3. So the things that that we are allowed to do during the Club World Cup, you've got to be there from T-4 to T-3 to do it on the field. And then after the match, you can kind of do it, and that'd be like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But it is an 8 or 9 hour day by the time you're done. So, yep, doors open 3 to get stuff. Planning on being there early. So, yes, lots of shots apparently last night at Fido. Oh, I was thinking shots of like that they had cutaways. But no, as I was looking back, Abby says lots of shots last night at Fido with the WNT scoring. Initially, I was thinking they had a camera inside Fido, but then I remembered looking at the American Outlaws Instagram page, and then it's like goal, and then people had like shots of some really scary looking liquid that was attached, and I'm like, ugh. I'm sure there's a lot of hurting people who were at Fido last night. Once again, 4-0 win for the U.S. national team, the U.S. women's national team, and Emma Hayes. They've got Ireland again this weekend. We'll catch up with Bart Keeler at 10 o'clock on Monday morning to discuss. Yes. Does Ireland have a Colorado? That's a good question. Does Ireland have a Colorado? So let's check highest elevation. All right, so here we go. Highest elevation in Ireland. If I could spell the word elevation. So in Ireland. Okay, so highest elevation in Ireland is Carraunthill, highest mountain at 3,400 feet. So Carraunthill, but it literally is just a mountaintop. I mean, it looks like something that you would have seen at the end of Highlander, the original movie, not the second one. Carraunthill, or so it's Tuathal. So it's Carraunthill. Tuathal's Sickle, the highest mountain in Ireland, 3,400 feet 6 inches, on the Ivora Peninsula in County Kerry. So the highest elevation in Ireland is at 3,400 feet. So 3,400 feet elevation in the U.S. All right, so 3,400 feet in the elevation in the United States. What's at 3,400 feet? 3,400 feet. So 3,400 feet. Something close. Give me something close. As I'm scanning down. Okay, so Hoy Crest in Maryland is at 3,370 feet. Mount Greylock in Massachusetts is at 3,400 feet. Highest elevation in Georgia, Brasstown Bald, is 4,784 feet. So if you went up 75% of Brasstown Bald, that would be the highest point in Ireland. Something like that. Hoy Crest at 3,370. Mount Greylock in Massachusetts, 3,489. Looking for White Butte in North Dakota at 3,500 feet. Mount Davis in Pennsylvania at 3,200 feet. Sassafras Mountain, South Carolina, 3,554 feet. So my guess is that's kind of close to the edges of the Appalachians more than anything else. So 3,400 feet, you're looking at Mount Davis in Pennsylvania, something in the Marianas, North Dakota's White Butte, stuff like that. So 3,400 feet, highest elevation in Ireland, the Coranta Hill. And so that's what that's by comparison, that would be the Ireland of Colorado. They don't quite go to 5,200. Let's see. Morning Lokeville, Morning Ropes. Let's see. The homegrown and Abby, to the point that we've been making. Homegrowns and the former twos players, heart of the team. I think so too. And the fact that you've got Efren Morales learning on the job. Noah Cobb, who is one of those presences. And that was why I specifically, as a defensive player, I wanted to bring up Noah as an example to Parkey and find out what Parkey, the mentor, was seeing in that and what Parkey, the Atlanta United alum, was seeing in that from Noah Cobb. And Abby, you're not the only one who wants to see all the young ones on the field at the same time. It would be a great experiment. And Brad with his arm around Ephra, and really, he could be his dad. Let's see. So I don't think, Abby, that they just get rid of the players they just got in the last window. I don't think you're that much of a turnaround and put some players on the block that they just got. There were, and once again, I will say this, and I will say this. As we get closer and closer and closer into the window, and when we get into the secondary transfer window, check your sources, check your sources, check your sources. Legitimately, check your sources. Because you've got all of these folks that are wanting to put their name out there on social media. Was it 2 weeks ago where someone just had that one-liner about Pedro Amador and the UAE for like $3 million? Guy's got a lot of followers, but I needed to go down that rabbit hole and see what his history is when it comes to calling shots with players and transaction and change and things like that. I need to see a track record from somebody like that. Yes, he's got 5 figures to the left of the decimal in followers, but I want to see more of a track record from stuff like that. There were the reports in the British papers that folks were interested in Latte Lot. This was about a month ago when teams were being relegated or being promoted or trying to solidify themselves in the EFL Championship. You got to keep an eye on stuff like that because, once again, those papers over there, we don't call them the 3 and the 4 letter papers for nothing because of the how do I phrase this? Because of what they try to gin up on a daily basis. So when it comes to all of these folks, and all of the talk, I would think that you have a lot of folks to pay attention to. And now we go to the Mountain Time Zone. How about this? Jarrett Smith, how are you, sir? Well, I would have thought, hang on. It's like I see your icon, but I just see a black screen. So hang on. Let me remove you. All right. Let me try it again. Let me see if things change because I see your icon. No, that's weird. That's odd. Log out and log back in. And so that way, give me your Irish. Give me your Irish goodbye. And so let me see here. All right. Take 2 with Jarrett, hopefully. Okay. All right. We got the icon. All right. So talk. And let's see if we can hear you.
I don't speak on command.
Well, if you didn't,
I guess I do.
If you didn't,
Never mind.
If you didn't speak on command, then we wouldn't know if your microphone was working from Utah.
Yeah, it's true.
So a lot of folks want to know, how are you and what is it like out there?
Dry. It's nice. No, I'm fine. We've just been getting settled in. So I took time out of settling in and like getting things done to watch Wednesday night, and should have just settled in and gotten things done instead.
Yeah, I know. That seems to be the prevailing thought in a bunch of different places.
Yeah. It is what it is.
Yeah, and
it's a matter of things have to get fixed, and this isn't a take your car to the shop, they lift it up and change the oil kind of thing. So
yeah, no, it's a little deeper and different than that. And the fact that we got Michael Parkhurst and Dax McCarty to discuss it this morning on Friday, to have two alums discuss it, I thought it was important, and I thought it was interesting to have their thoughts in all of this. I mean,
I agree, because like we can sit here and give our opinions on it, but those guys have been in the trenches, both good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
Like Michael Parkhurst lost a lot of MLS Cups. He got to a lot, and he only won one of them, and it was in Atlanta. He's been on good teams and bad teams. Same with Dax. Mm-hmm. He's been on good teams and bad teams, and they've seen a good locker room. They've seen a bad locker room. Their opinion matters a lot to me on this.
Yeah, and when you get to see what they see through their eyes, I know that Dax is looking at the transfer window and trying to see who may or may not have value in the big guns and that kind of a thing. He is still maintaining that you probably need to bring in some experience at the back. I would disagree with him and his assessment about a 6, because I think that what we've seen from Bartosz Slisz and from Jay Fortune and or Tristan Muyumba, when they're healthy, I think that that is a place where I think there is some promise. So I think that Dax is looking at bringing in some folks in the summer window. But to your point, I think that this next month, and to the point that Dax made, I think that this next month will be interesting. Just from an analysis standpoint, I'm not taking the wins and looking at wins and losses. I'm looking at this next month before you get to the transfer window, and that's what I was talking about before you came in, is to keep an eye on things in the next month on the field for Atlanta United. And the fact that they're away from home gives them a chance to kind of focus on things at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground and on the road because of the tournaments and everything. So then when they come back, you'll have an assessment as to where things are, and you're now under a month before the window. And you will have, I would think, an idea as to where you may want to go. And as we always say here in this situation, check your sources, check your sources, check your sources, because of folks wanting to get their name out there and sit there and say, hey, I was first to say this deal. Keep an eye on things in the next month, because there's going to be, not just with Atlanta United, but with teams that are looking to get that one fix, looking to improve, that are above the playoff bar, teams below the playoff bar trying to blow things up and get ready for 26. You've got a bunch of different directions, but you've got to keep an eye on who is saying it as to the level of credence that is attached to it.
You do. You do. And it's going to be, it's the thing is, the last game, for me, it's telling me a lot in that, the Red Bulls game got out of hand in the first few minutes because you misplayed a pass and you put yourself behind the 8 ball. Mm-hmm. You were embarrassed in New York City. I don't care what excuse you make. You were embarrassed. You were damn near embarrassed in Columbus the other night. Yeah, you got one across the line. You kind of bundled the goal home. You Emmanuel Latelot should have had another one. Mm-hmm. That's a separate conversation about he is not right now. He's not living up to what you paid for. Doesn't make him a bad guy. Yeah. Doesn't make him a bad player. It makes him not living up to what you paid for. Because when the chips are down, you need your striker to do things. And he's not right now. And the fact that you could get embarrassed in New York City, and look, Brad Guzan kept that from being like a 6-1 game, at least the other night. It's got to be better. And look, I know you are an attacking-minded club. Like, you're same thing with Gonzalo Pineda when he was here. Like, it is, we're going to get bodies forward. We want to get forward. We want to attack. We want to score goals. You're not getting the defensive help, and the mistakes you make keep popping up. And how you fix that, I don't know. A full service engine change, first full service oil change of this roster, maybe. Because you talk about the summer window, it's not so much about guys coming in for me; it's also guys going out. I like what you have in some. I like some of the pieces you have in the midfield. Like Bartosz Lic has come on strong. I think he responded well to the challenge from Ronnie Dyla.
Yeah.
Tristan Million-Baugh's been really good when he's been on the field, but availability is a skill.
When he's been on the field, yes.
He and Stian Gregerson both have not been on the field.
Right.
I will find you a new home, and it is not a personal slight. It is not me telling you you're not good enough, but I need guys on the field. Because right now, I'm staring at a situation square in the eyes of I don't know how to put together my center back pairings right now, or my center back trios right now.
Yeah.
Because Luis Abram is still there, and Abram's fine. He's kind of like a church mouse, just kind of hangs out.
Yeah.
You gave it to Efrain Morales, who's still young and still learning.
Right.
This is the thing we have to remember with guys like him and Noah Cobb and Will Riley and Jay Fortune, that they are kids. They are gonna make mistakes. It is just a part of. It's just a part of life.
Yep.
We had the same conversation about George Campbell back in the day when people got really pissy when George Campbell got forced into action, and he wasn't perfect. He was making mistakes because he was like 18 years old at the time. You guys are gonna make mistakes. And you have to roll with those mistakes to find out. You kind of have to kind of get through the buffing stage to find out what's underneath all that dirt.
Yep.
And I don't know how you structure that midfield or that back line going forward. Because Will Riley showed you something the other night, I thought.
Yeah, agreed.
In that he gave a shit.
Yeah.
Because... I mean, there are moments where it feels like you're sleepwalking through these games. And again, God knows how many times we've talked about this, John. I don't know how many times you need to have the kids come in and provide some sort of spark. And game state plays into it. I get it. Columbus took their foot off the gas a bit.
Yeah.
But like even down 3-0, where you got kids who are like basically you could point Will Riley in a direction and go fetch, and he'll go do it.
Yeah,
it's great. Love to see it. At some point, just play all the kids and see what happens, man.
Yeah,
because if you're going through the process of this is my job to put the best team out there, and you're putting your veterans out there and they're not getting it done, then at what point do you just put the kids out there and say, well, what I think is the best 11 is not doing the job. So I'm going to have to change what I think is the best 11. Having the update on Jay is he's probably out for the year.
Yeah.
His foot broke.
Yeah.
There's a really shitty tackle against Saudi Arabia.
It was
completely unnecessary. It was off the ball. He wasn't about to receive the ball, and he basically got wrestled down like a baby steer.
Yeah, he got hog collar.
Yeah, he just got collared down. It'd have been 15 yards in the NFL.
Yeah.
His foot got twisted underneath his body. It was crap. The fact that there wasn't an immediate receipt given was amazing because he broke his foot. Maranchuk is improving. I agree. Like Maranchuk has been better. He's been a lot better since you moved Miguel Almiron out of the midfield with him.
Right.
But yeah, Manuel Late-Lot, Miguel Almiron, two of your big earners, along with Maranchuk, have not been good enough. Like, you're paying Manu for more than that, and it feels callous and like very sea level to come to dollars and cents, but when you're paying a guy, when you paid that much money and he's not producing, he's got to produce.
Yeah.
Miguel Almiron is just, we talked about it when he came here, that I said, I don't need 2018 Miguel Almiron, I just need 2025 Miguel Almiron. And I don't know if 2025 Miguel Almiron is the difference is a $7 million difference maker anymore. I don't think he is.
Yeah.
Again, not a slight on Miguel. It just, Father Time comes for us all. He's a speed-based player, and when speed falls, speed falls.
Yeah.
It feels like it's kind of where it's at with him.
Yeah.
Don't know how you fix it.
The word from Atlanta United, Abby, Jay Fortune expected to miss the remainder of the 25 season. The club was able to confirm a mid-foot sprain in his left foot that will require surgery. And once again, the club will update his return to play timeline after surgery. So, literally, he came in as a sub, and I think he was on for like
6 minutes, maybe.
Yeah, and so then he gets hog-collared, and then I don't think there was a card, if I remember correctly. I don't even think there was a card that was attached in that tackle. So I initially thought it was a knee with Jay because
we all did.
If you look
the way his body twisted.
Yeah, if you look at the play and you look at how he's hog-collared and you see the direction that his knee goes and then what Jay is grabbing as he's on the field at Jerry World, you're going, okay, that's a knee, that sucks, and, we'll see what happens. But apparently it was in the plant of his left foot during the hog collar that created the sprain that creates the injury that is going to require the surgery. I guess they have to wait for swelling to go down or something like that before official word comes out that surgery has in fact happened, and then you end up with recovery, blah, blah, blah. So, that's you look at, Jared, you mentioned Will Riley. You've got Ephra and Noah at the back. You've got Jay. You've got Matt Edwards.
I have no idea what the status of Noah is either. Like to get Noah on the field, I don't know. Like I maybe the staff doesn't rate him as highly.
Yeah.
But he's a guy that I thought we've seen enough of in the last year.
Or in a situation like what we had in Columbus, having two young center backs going up against Columbus in front of Brad. Do you want someone with experience that are in two of the three, and then you can give Ephra a chance? I don't know. But I mean,
I don't know where, and maybe it's a matter of you don't want to put, you don't want to have two kids out there.
Yeah.
And so you have Luis out there, but Luis also isn't loud. He's not like really an organizer. He's just kind of, he's kind of the busybody of you have someone else organize, and he can be the chess piece, and he moves well when he's the chess piece, but I don't think he's an organizer.
Right.
But I'm fascinated by the lack of minutes for Noah Cobb, lack of consistent minutes. Excuse me. Because especially as we get into the second half of the season, and look, we talked about this last year when Atlanta was outside the playoff picture, and I vividly remember talking about how you don't look at the playoff picture. Don't look at the playoff picture. It doesn't matter until the last few weeks. When you have like 5-6 games left and you can start doing the math. And you're in a similar situation right now, but the gulf is wider, and it doesn't feel like the turnaround is coming.
Yeah.
Like, to be blunt, like it doesn't feel like you have a long road trip. There's going to be tough road games. It does not feel like this roster is in the right mindset to turn this around. And they've shipped and lost so many home games that it doesn't. Anything is possible.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. It doesn't feel tangible to do it. So at what point do you start giving these kids more minutes so that if Ronnie Dyla is here through the end of the year into next year, which Garth Lagerway talked about Ronnie Dyla in a way that I thought kind of freed him up to be more of a hard ass in a good way. And we saw it in two of those results at home. Where where he gave him a vote of confidence, and it wasn't like the dreaded, athletic director vote of confidence necessarily. If he's going to be here next year, I don't know at which point you just start tinkering with things and say, screw it. If we're not going to make the playoffs this year, I need to see what I have coming in next year of guys who are still on contract.
And so, Abby, to your point, Ronnie has been, how do we say this, vocal about his desires and what he has said post-match. And so I would imagine that also applies to the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training facility, where he's trying to get things out of players. So I don't think Ronnie is holding back when it comes to his assessments. I don't think he's wired that way, especially if you listen to post-game comments where he is discussing his lack of his amount of displeasure toward effort or toward play in losses. And so I think that Ronnie is as frustrated as anybody else. And Jarrett, to your point, I think that once Garth gave that particular when Garth gave that soundbite, that interview that was attached, and it pretty much was like, okay, so Ronnie isn't going anywhere, so now the shackles are off. It wouldn't, whatever form you want to say that they were in, and now Ronnie can really try and get his messaging across. I'm, like I said, I will be keeping an eye on that messaging and how vocal Ronnie is in his displeasure when it comes to post-match and when it comes to what he's looking for from the players now that he got that green light, as you say, from Garth, Jarrett.
And to Abby's point, Ronnie can be a mean cuss when he has to. The thing is, and this is going to, for me, it keeps coming back to the roster, in that we saw the documentary last year. You saw that Gonzalo Pineda, for as nice of a guy as he was, very salt of the earth gentleman, he could also be a mean SOB. And he could yell and kick and scream and throw things and get mad and light fires and try and light fires. Ronnie can do it too. They are different personalities. Rob Valentino, of course, is a different personality as well. You've had 3 different coaches, one interim, 3 different personalities in that locker room in the last calendar year. If all 3 of them are having trouble lighting a fire and getting this team to show heart consistently and to show fight consistently, it doesn't mean they're not running, doesn't mean they don't care, that they don't want to win. But to not get consistent fight out of them when 3 different guys are having that problem, that tells me it's not the coach. Does that mean Ronnie Diala is absolutely the perfect coach for it? I don't know. I like Ronnie Diala as a coach. He's had success in multiple places, including this league. He's lifted hardware in this league in a weird year, but he lifted it nevertheless and did it on the road in Portland. It's, for me, it keeps coming back to this roster, and you got to ask questions about how it was built and some of the people in it. And this summer window, if you want to just purge the summer window, I'm not going to tell you no. And there are very, very few places on that roster where I am going to look at somebody and say, no, definitely keep that guy. Because on paper, and when you crunch the numbers, it looks like it should work. And it doesn't. So something has to change. And for me, personally, it's coming down to just not consistently showing up to the office.
And
also reactions when
and
things
that was
go bad. No one feels sorry for you guys. Sorry, I've said this for years. No one's going to feel sorry for you, so you can't feel sorry for yourself.
No, and that was why I got into the question about representing yourself with Parkey this morning, and trying to do what you can in these situations, and knowing that you've got a lot of work to do, and making sure that when you have a Noah Cobb do what he did coming out for the second half, you're seeing that it's Noah Cobb that is doing that, who is not in the starting 11, and he's the guy who's in the pile, and he's the one who's trying to get everybody, jacked up and dapping everybody, getting ready for the second 45. And so I think that those kinds of things, and asking the veteran players like we had on this morning, like Dax and Parkey, about these kinds of things and about younger players, what their thoughts are when it comes to having all of this young influence that is out there, that you're wondering at what point do you sit there and say, okay, let's figure out, and maybe it is in that transfer window, as you say, Jared, where it's like, okay, we have this month away from everything because of the Club World Cup. As we get ready for Leagues Cup and the matches, you have hang on, let me get the schedule, and because I had the schedule up, and so of course, what do? I knock that tab out. You've got the game in DC, you've got the game in Toronto, then you come back for 3 at home, Chicago and Charlotte, 2 matches in 4 days, 16th and 19th, and then the transfer window opens up before the home match against Seattle, and then you go into Leagues Cup against Necaxa. So you have 4 matches to go before the transfer window opens, 2 on the road, then you're back at home for 3, and then Leagues Cup starts. And so you're looking at those 4 matches to figure out, okay, where are we, and then what do we need to do going forward? So I'm looking at DC and Toronto and Chicago and Charlotte, and then figure out where things stand.
And this is where I'm at with Abby as well, is that, like, give me all the kids, because you're running out what you think is your best 11. And I get that changes with Jay out of the equation. But you're running out what you think is your best 11, and you're giving up 3 goals a game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Give me the kids and see what happens, because your best 11 isn't good enough right now. They're not playing as a unit. They are too. Cayman Togashi is still hurt, Abby, as well. I have been clamoring for Cayman Togashi to be a part of this, but unfortunately he's banged up. But I'm fine with just running the kids out there, because you're not getting results. You're not getting performances. You're not getting 90-minute performances. Oops, let me rephrase that. 45 minutes was better. The second 45 against Columbus was better. Game state played into that. Changes played into that. And Columbus kind of took their foot off the gas. But the performances need to be better, and the bravery needs to be better. Like, they still look like they're terrified, and I don't get it. Jason's talked about this. He's never seen a team that looked more different from the training ground to a game. That, you watch them in training, they look like one team. You watch them in a game, looks like a completely different group of human beings. What we saw in preseason was entertaining. Like, they were good in preseason. They were aggressive. They were sure of themselves when they got into the final third. Guys moved with purpose. Guys tried to get into the right spots. They were aggressive. Yeah. They scrapped. They fought. Where if the ball went to, if somebody played a ball in and it was cut out, no one hung their head. They scrapped for it to make sure nothing went bad the other way. Yep. I don't know where that went. And I don't know how you coax that out of people, because I'm not a genie. And I don't have some magical machine to drag that out of people.
And Abby also brings up DCQ, and he's on national team duty. So, he goes out for national team duty, comes back in. And so we're going to catch up with Steve Cook, getting ready for the twos, and Messi and friends coming up here on a different conversation in a couple of minutes. Last thoughts for the week from you before we get out of here.
I don't know how to fix it. Like I said, we've had 3 different coaches in the last year, including an interim, and it's not ever been consistently good enough. And I don't know how you instill that fight when you've had 3 different people get into these players, and 3 different people not be able to consistently get the shown fight out of it, man, I don't know what you do. But, like I said, a lot of these things, I will defer to guys like Parky and Dax, because they've been in there, they've been the leaders, and they when they were younger, they were the followers that listened to the leaders. So I will defer to them on a lot of it. But it's hard from the outside, because it's not like you're seeing a team scrap and grind and lose 1-0 games or 2-1 games on hard luck decisions. It's watching a team that for 45 minutes doesn't look competitive.
Yep.
And that's unacceptable.
And they get to take the weekend off and look at everybody else. Jarrett, it's great to hear your voice. I know that you are adjusting to the Mountain Time Zone Bureau for everything SDH, and so as always, it's great to hear your voice, and as you get to see what's going on in the dryness of Utah. So as always, don't be a stranger, and we will catch up with you soon, my friend. All right, that's Jarrett. That was cool. Jarrett coming in for a Friday. And so since it is a Friday, we know that means one thing. Once again, Gold Cup this weekend. And we got the 4 matchups coming up tomorrow and on Sunday. Panama, big favorite against Honduras. Mexico, big favorite against Saudi Arabia. I know a lot of folks here in this neck of the woods are rooting for Mexico going up against Saudi Arabia Sunday. Canada, Guatemala. Canada, minus 294. Go back and listen to our conversation with Amy Walsh from Footy Prime. And Maddie's going to be on Footy Prime in 6 days' time. So we'll catch up with them as well as we go. Canada and Guatemala. Canada, big favorite. USA, big favorite against Costa Rica. That's your final 8 in the Gold Cup as that continues to proceed. End of the week. Once again, thanks to all of our guests all week long. And thanks to Dax, thanks to Parky, thanks to Jarrett, and thanks to you for being a part of things here as we go. Everything SDH. And so since it is a Friday, that means one thing. Play it safe, everybody. Enjoy your weekend. We will see you at Mercedes-Benz on Sunday, and we'll see you at Mercedes-Benz on Tuesday. But first off, enjoy the weekend, everybody. Enjoy Major League Soccer, and enjoy the 10 bucks on MLS 360 at about 8:40 on your Apple TV and your cable, as you can watch what's going on there as well. So since it is the end of the week, we have to do one thing, and we will do this. Play it safe, everybody. Mucho plati, y'all, and enjoy the weekend. And once again, just be safe. We'll see you there. And once again, thanks for being a part of SDH, as you always are. Play it safe, everybody. Mucho plati, y'all. It's the end of the week, so we get to do this, I think. So hang on. I don't want to expand that. So no. So no, I don't want this. So let's see what happens if we do this. No, that's not what I wanted. Well, maybe we just have to hang up. I don't know. So let's see what happens here. So, there we go. Here we go. No, darn it. Hang on. What if we do this? Okay, yes. I have to make sure that this is a little lower. Play it safe, everybody. Mucho platial. End of the week. We're going here.
The war was the keys on the typewriter had sharp points that kept sticking into our fingers. The dictating equipment started asking us questions, and our beepers sent electric shocks just through our body like a cattle prod. Out in the warehouse, the trucks kept banging into the docks, not even thinking about stopping. Oh, our frail bodies were strapped to the chairs, and our chairs were chained to the desks. Our pleas for justice were ignored, and the end seemed near. But we busted our slave drivers' little bitty balls. We've charged out of their brick fortress. The streets are ours. Be gone.